It is Trent Out Loud reporting live from 500 Pearl Street, New York City, home of the Diddy trial, day 30. And let me tell y'all something. Let me tell y'all something. I came here today, no dress shirt, no suit, no nothing. Thought it was just gonna be a little casual day. We're gonna get some, jury instructions, jury conferencing. Let me tell y'all the bombshell day that is ahead of us. Yo, it is going down. Woke up this morning with the feds blinking first. The feds have blinked first. Advantage Sean Diddy Combs, y'all. Wake up. I know it's 11:22, but wake up. You can pass. No problem. No problem. Is there any food for me in there? No? All right. Yo, wow. You guys know I normally come at you live at 7 a.m. and lunch and dinner. By the way, let me say hi to a couple of people today. Good morning, Linda. Good morning, G. Good morning, Adorna. Good morning, Miss International. Melva's in the building. Bah, 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 bah. Hey, Melva, I gave you a shout out on the reported podcast that we put out. I put you in the comment section, so make sure you check that out. Shout out to Melva. Tez is always here. Chino's here. Ninth Ether is here. Robin is here. Tangi's here. Jay Jackson is here. Although she's laughing at me saying bombshell. Felicia, Miss Molly. What up, everybody? What up? What up? All right. Let me get back to this because I have a lot to tell y'all. Well, not necessarily a lot, but I have some very, very important things to tell y'all this morning. For those of you who are just getting here, this was supposed to be a little late day. I plan to just go live one time, maybe at the end of the day. Literally no suit, no nothing. I just thought I was just coming to the court today from 12 to 2 or 3. We were supposed to do a charge conference, which is the lawyers getting together and talking about the jury instructions, etc. Bro, I'll talk to you after, okay? I'm gonna be on this live. I'll talk to you after, okay? I got you, don't worry. Yeah, woke up this morning to text messages, phone calls. Like, my phone was blowing up. Normally I wake up at like 3:30 in the morning and I'm down here by 5:30, 6 o'clock. I'm like, well, let me sleep in a little bit, turn off the ringer. My phone was going crazy. The feds, the government has backed down and they have taken charges out of the Rico indictment. Huge, 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 huge. This is the biggest win so far for Diddy. Just to be clear, doesn't mean that the Rico charge is dropped. I've seen a lot of what's the word I'm looking for? Little misrepresentation or misinformation. That's what I was looking for. I see a lot of misinformation online. Just to jump ahead of it, I'll break everything down for you. But Rico is not gone. There's just a lot of the predicate acts within the Rico charge that has been removed. Nevertheless, it does make Rico a lot less, and it is a bend, a break, a blink from the prosecution, from the government, from the feds. That is them literally admitting the fact that they did not have enough on him to stay those charges, to keep those charges. They're not wording it that way, and like I said, I will break everything down for you. They're not wording it that way, but that is definitely the way it is going to go down, okay? So, as we get started, just want to tell you everything we're going to be talking about today. So the bombshell switch up from the government. I'm going to give you guys a little bit of information on closing arguments. I have some insider information, so make sure you stick around. I have some insider information on court, and I have some insider information on Diddy and some other things that might be lurking in the background against Sean Diddy Combs, okay? I'm gonna give you that. And then I'll let you guys know of a huge, huge, monumental mistake that Diddy did. And he has a win today, but he also made a huge mistake yesterday, okay? So, those are the 4 things we're gonna be talking about today. Let's get right into the most important one. Let me just bring this up here. I'm gonna break down and let you guys know about these charges, okay? Now, prosecutions say they are no longer going to argue attempted K word, which is taking somebody against their will, attempted arson, which is bye-bye Kid Cudi story, aiding and abetting SEX trafficking as liability for Sean Diddy Combs' racketeering conspiracy charge. The AUSA's actually says something about streamlining jury instructions before revealing their true motive. Just want to take a pause there. The AUSA said something about streamlining. What they are saying is, we're going to take away the arson, the K word, aiding and abetting, SCX trafficking. We're going to take that away because we want to streamline racketeering for the jury. The prosecution is trying to make it seem like we just want to do the jury a favor, because how Rico works is there's 35 predicate acts. A lot of people think there's 10, but if you Google it, you'll see there's actually 35. And if you commit 2 of those 35 within 10 years, you could be charged for Rico. So the government, up until yesterday, was saying that Diddy committed, I think, 6 or 8 of them. So they're saying, hey, we only need 2. Let's just stay with our stronger ones, so we're going to take some away. Now, I'm going to read a little bit more to you, but you and I know that the fact that they had 6 or 8 and now they only want to focus on 2 or 3, they're not streamlining nothing. They know that the cases were weak and the evidence was weak, and they thought instead of putting 6 or 8 and only 2 or 3 are strong and some are weak, they were afraid that they were just going to say, you know what, because there's some of them that are weak in here, we just want to vote not guilty on Rico. That is what the prosecution was afraid of. You cannot tell me anything different about they're streamlining, we're just doing a favor, okay? Let me get back to this. So the AUSA says something about streamlining jury instructions before revealing their true motive to avoid any confusion as to the operation agreement for count 1, aka allegedly that Combs must have entered into a conspiracy to be guilty. The racketeering conspiracy charge is the weakest charge against Combs, and the prosecutors apparently realized that. Combs accusing somebody to commit an act does not count as an agreement. I'm going to break that down in 1 second. He, on the other hand, has to agree to participate in enterprises' affairs throughout racketeering. What that means is, we told you that yesterday when Mr. Shapiro, one of Diddy's lawyers, was talking about Rule 29. To be charged or found guilty for racketeering, it's an enterprise, and the people who are in the enterprise, aka Bad Boy, aka Combs Enterprises, needs to be involved in the criminal acts as well. Ms. Shapiro yesterday through Rule 29 showed or reminded the jury that yes, although Diddy did have some of his assistants and people, set up hotel rooms and they got them to do certain things like buy DRUGs, those assistants were not involved in the actual crime. He just had them do stuff. It wasn't like their mission was to help him SCX traffic Jane or Cassie. That is what the prosecution has made a big mistake on with charging Rico. It was everybody in the organization trying to help Diddy SCX traffic Cassie and Jane? No. Diddy tried his best to actually hide what he was doing to some of his assistants and actually try to hide some king nights and freak off nights from KK. I'll get into that a little bit more. The attorneys will finalize the jury instruction at the charge conference, which will happen today at 2 o'clock. Closing arguments, aka summations, will begin Thursday and Friday, okay? So that is that. I'm gonna read you guys a little paragraph of the actual letter that the prosecution sent to the judge this morning. The government respectfully writes regarding its request to edit the court's proposed jury instruction. The government understands that the court's desire for streamlining instructions. With that in mind, the government has suggested ways to streamline those instructions. Don't believe that. They're not trying to streamline anything. Specifically, the government has removed instructions for the charges related to attempting taking somebody under California and New York law, attempted arson under California law, and aiding and abetting SCX trafficking. This is an official letter sent to the judge, the government saying they're taking away these 3 charges. That is huge. The government is no longer planning to proceed on these theories of liability, so instructions are no longer necessary. That is crazy. By the way, just for anybody who's new on this live, I am not on Diddy's side. I'm not on the prosecution side. I'm just here to give you guys the information for you guys to draw a conclusion. I call it like I see it, and that is that when there's a win for the prosecution, I say they did a great job. I think they put on a great case. And when the defense does a great job and they poke holes, I say the same thing. With that in mind, this line right here is a huge, huge loss. I just want to read it again. The government is no longer planning to proceed on these theories of liability, so the instructions are no longer necessary. The government spent so much time. That whole Kid Cudi testimony is basically out the window. He was the only one that testified or hinted at anything to do with arson, so that is out. Boom. How the jury, I think, and y'all let me know after this live, after I give you guys all the information, I will go to the comment section. The prosecution putting out all of these witnesses and trying to prove the K word and trying to prove arson and trying to prove these things that they're removing, how do you think the jury is going to look at it? Do you think the jury is going to say, oh, wow, you know, they just want to make it easy on us or not to confuse it? Or is the jury going to say, yo, you spent days and days and days making me wake up early in the morning, come here, talking to me about all these charges, and before you even get to deliberation, you're like, you know what, guys, forget it, forget about that testimony, forget about Kid Cudi, forget about this. I really think that looks really, really, really bad. The prosecution should have done their due diligence. They should have planned this out before going to trial and focus, knowing that they only needed 2. Why are you going to try to prove 6? This is Maureen Comey, one of the best prosecutors in the USA, if not the best in the Southern District of New York. She should have done a better job at focusing in on the 2 or 3. You only need 2. Why are you spending time doing trying to prove 6? Why are you taking up all of our time? Why are you taking up 6 weeks of these people's time? Our time, the jury's time, the government's money. This goes to what I've said for the past couple of days. The prosecution has drug out this case way too long. I told you guys about a security guard that told me that he has been in the same courtroom for 25 years, and this is the most repetitive and boring case that he has heard in his entire career. He said that most judges wouldn't even have allowed this much repetitiveness. We all know why the judge is doing it, because Diddy is setting up for an appeal or a mistrial if he does get convicted. So the judge is making sure all the I's are dotted and the T's are crossed. And I don't blame the judge. I do blame the prosecution. They should have narrowed it down. They should have focused in. They only need 2. I would focus on that 2 or maybe 3, just in case you don't feel like you get 1. But why are you going to waste all that time on 6 or 8 charges under Rico? That is maybe could have been a week less or a week and a half less. And just before I go on, the defense not putting on a witness helps in their case with the jury, because at the end of the day, this is not AI who's judging Diddy. They're people. They're human beings. They're people who get tired. I've reported every day that I come out here. The jury looks tired. The jury is yawning. 2 jurors fell asleep this week, like out cold. People in the gallery were out cold, passing out. I was sometimes like out of it. Thank the Lord I didn't actually fall asleep. They kick you out if you fall asleep. This is a huge, huge, huge stain on the prosecution. They made a big, big mistake. And the fact that they have to fold is really bad, okay? I'll read the rest of the letter and then we'll go on to some other things. The government has also attempted to simplify the language related to count 1, a proposal as explained in the government's comment bubble that the government hopes not only to serve the purpose of streamlining the instructions, but also will avoid any confusion as to the operation agreement for count 1. Yeah, you should have thought about that before you started the trial, bro. What's going on? What's really good? Anyways, that is the letter. That is the breakdown. Again, just to clarify, the prosecution has not dropped racketeering. I want to make sure we get this clear. They have not dropped racketeering conspiracy charges against Sean Diddy Combs. They have simply narrowed the list of allegations, the alleged predicate acts they are using to prove it. In short, Diddy's main Rico charge is still alive. The feds are just being more focused. Instead of saying he did 10 illegal things, they are now saying he did 3 or 4. Less noise, same charge, same danger. However, hey, how are you? However, they should have done this a long time ago. They should have known this before they presented this case, okay? So what's my next thing that I have for you? I told you I'll have a lot for you. So seeing that we're on jury and jury selection, let's move to what the verdict sheet is going to look like. Now, I have a copy of one. I'm not going to read like the whole thing to you guys. I'm just going to give you a couple examples, because the verdict sheet that is out now is actually going to change, because this verdict sheet is talking about the K word, is talking about arson, and it's talking about, is that Diddy's family showing up? Who's that showing up? Hold up. I know y'all like to see when his family and his mom and stuff come. Anyways, we'll look out here in this corner. So yes, this is a verdict sheet. So I don't know if I could show it to you guys. This is what it looks like, okay? It looks kind of like a questionnaire, okay? I'll read a couple of things to you, but this is what something along the lines of what the jury will get. And this is, instead of just saying like guilty or not guilty, they're trying to get in the minds and help the jury figure out what they think he's guilty on, instead of just saying racketeering, guilty, yes or no. SEX trafficking. So I'll read it out to you. Again, this is changing. So it says count 1, racketeering conspiracy. How do you find the defendant Sean Combs with respect to count 1? Guilty or not guilty? If you find the defendant guilty in count 1, please indicate whether the patterns of racketeering activity that the defendant agree to have committed involved the K word. So this, they're asking, do you think did you think he attempted to do the K word, taking somebody? Again, this is not going to be there because they're dropping it. The next one is the K word. Again, they're dropping that. That will not be in. The next one after is here. Oh, this is the arson one. Boom, this is going to drop. This is so bad. I can't believe I have to drop all this stuff. Let me get to one here. This one is tampering with a witness. Guilty. They're not asking guilty or not. They're asking proven or not. You see? Is that proven, not proven? Okay, that's how it will look. The next one here is forced labor. We talked about that yesterday. The next question is about SEX trafficking, okay? So like I said, I'm not gonna go through it, but these are all of the predicate acts under the Rico charge. And then here they'll ask for count 2. You see that right here? So it says count 2 for Cassie Ventura. Do you find the defendant Sean Combs with respect to count 2, guilty or not? They'll have to check in guilty or not. Count 3, transportation to with intent to commit selling yourself. Cassie Ventura. So that is the second and third charge. Do you feel like he trafficked Cassie, force, fraud, and coercion? Or do you feel like he trafficked her just for her to sell herself? Count 4 is, do you find the defendant Sean Diddy Combs guilty of count 4, which is SEX trafficking Jane, force, fraud, and coercion? And then count 5 is Jane, SEX trafficking to sell herself, guilty or not guilty. So those are the 5 charges. That will still remain. Just this questionnaire will be a little bit more summarized, streamlined, because the prosecution just wants to help out the jury. Give me a break. The final thing says, final instructions, once you have considered all the questions, please have the foreperson sign and date the verdict sheet and notify the marshal that you have reached a verdict, okay? So that is that, okay? Boom, we'll put that away. Just to let you guys know, just because a couple of people have been asking me what is going on with the jury, the verdict, and how it's going to proceed. Today, we'll have the charge conference, which it's basically what I just read to you, what the jury sheet is going to get, what their instructions will be. They'll argue back and forth. There's a way to kind of push the jury one way or the other, so the lawyers have their opportunity to talk and say what they want on the sheet. That will happen today. Closing arguments start on Thursday. I hope closing arguments end on Thursday. To me, it should be prosecution half day, defense the second half of the day. Let's stay here as long as we have to. Stay here till 6 or 7 o'clock if we have to. Give us our lunch hour, give us our breaks, and then give the case to the jury on Friday. That is what I think. If anything, I think the prosecution, remember it's all about strategy, I think they do not want the jury to get the case until Monday. I'll tell you the reason why. Sometimes when a jury gets a case on, let's say a Thursday or Friday, they rush and they're like, ugh, I don't even want to come back next week. This is the end of the week. And normally when you rush, you tend to rush and plead and think not guilty. You don't want to rush and send somebody to jail for the rest of their life, but you'll rush and have somebody not guilty if you just want to go home and you don't want to come back. And I'm telling you, these jurors are fed up. So A rush typically means, just in theory, if you're rushed and it's closer to a weekend, you're probably going to be like, ugh, not guilty, let's go home, I just want to enjoy the weekend, I don't want to think about this, July 4th is coming up, it's hot outside here in NYC, I want to go home and party. If the prosecution has their way, I think they're going to have this go till Friday, get the jury instructions, and they have to come in on Monday and start the deliberations. If they're here on Monday, whether it's a Monday, Tuesday, or a Wednesday, it's no big deal. Again, this is just a theory, okay? I think the defense is going to try to get the case to the jury on Friday. I think the prosecution is going to try to get the case on Monday. I will be here regardless, whatever the day. I just even went upstairs to check. Court will be open. I will be here even through jury deliberations. Myself, other content creators, CNN, TMZ, CBS, whatever, while they are in the robing room, that's where the jury will be deliberating, we will be able to be on the floor, we will be able to sit in the courtroom and wait. They'll be sending out notes sometimes. Hey, judge, what about this? Hey, judge, we have a question. This will have to be read in open court. I will be able to be in the courtroom hearing these instructions. I'll be able to come out to you and let you know. Why that's important is because when the jury has questions or they have notes, it could lead to us assuming what they're thinking. We'll never know until obviously the verdict is read, but depending on the questions like, hey judge, if this and this, does this mean not guilty? Or does this mean that we should leave this? Or does this mean that they haven't proven or blah, blah, blah? Because of the way that they question things, we'll be able to get some inside information. I'll be on the floor and I'll be coming out and tell you guys live. So stay tuned every day this week and next week until we get a verdict, okay? Boom. Now, I want to quickly, just before we leave this government taking away some charges out of the Rico Act, I just want to let you know what I fear a little bit. And this is a win for the prosecution, and I think maybe it's a little bit of a mistake the defense made. Now, I just told you guys about the K word, arson, and the aiding and abetting, and I think the SCX trafficking under Rico. Now, why did the government decide to take that out? Yesterday, Ms. Shapiro, who is one of Diddy's lawyers, I forget her name, did an excellent job presenting Rule 29. Rule 29 is, Judge, we don't even want this case to go to the jury. The prosecution has not met their burden of proof. We want this thrown out. Now, that is standard for the defense team to ask. 9 times out of 10, 9.5 times out of 10, the judge doesn't even listen to, well, he listens to it. That's the wrong wording. He just throws that out. He's like, no, I'm not throwing that out. The government spends 6 weeks. Let's give it to the jury, okay? If the government really did a horrible job, yes, he would throw it out. But to present Rule 29, you have to give grounds on why you feel like the prosecution did not prove their case. So, I think because her argument for Rule 29 was so compelling and gave the prosecution a window into the closing arguments, I think the prosecution made their switch up and was like, you know what? If the jury hears this in closing arguments, we think that we will actually lose Rico because she has a lot of strong points. So instead of us losing Rico, let's take these things out right now, and it gives us a bigger chance to prove Rico. Let that sink in for a second. I'm going to repeat it. The prosecution had 8 things. Ms. Shapiro said yesterday, and I'm gonna read to you all the issues with the 8 things. The prosecution was like, yo, she has a point. Instead of her saying all of that in closing arguments and hearing all the things that we didn't say properly or that we didn't prove, instead of her putting that in closing arguments and the jury going back and we don't have a chance to talk to them after that, let's take it out now. And the fact that they're not in there now, the defense is not even going to be able to put that in closing arguments because there's no more charges there. So that won't be in closing arguments. So only now in closing arguments, the only thing that they'll be able to discuss is the actual charges. So the defense will not have as much ammunition to make the prosecution look bad. Does that make sense? So yes, it's a blink and it's huge for the prosecution. It's a huge loss for the prosecution that it had to take it out. But the advantage is that the jury now gets to hear less mistakes during closing arguments from the defense. Let me tell you what a couple of things that Ms. Shapiro said yesterday that I think played a big part in the reason why the prosecution took out those charges. She said, 1, the government says that Sean Diddy Combs' Bad Boy Enterprises has been a racketeering organization for the past 20 years. She felt like that was weak. She said Combs' crimes were his, and they were done mostly with his girlfriends. Rico is the organization coming together to commit crimes. They're like, yo, it was Sean, it was Diddy, it was Brother Love committing crimes, not his whole organization, it was him. And if anybody else that was committing crimes, it was his girlfriends, not the people that were working for him. Yes, they maybe set up a room, they got Astroglide, but it wasn't their assistants, it wasn't Brendan Paul calling Cowboys for Angels, it wasn't him calling the entertainers, the male workers, it was Cassie. It was James, it was the other people. So that does not go towards Rico. Rico is supposed to be a organization coming together and committing crimes. Huge point that she put out. She said Combs did not conspire with others. Exactly what I just said. He didn't conspire with others. Brendan, this, etc. She also went on, she said, he had his staff pick up personal DRUGs, not keys of the white stuff and have it for other people. It was like, yo, Brendan, pick me up a little vial of this. Yo, bring me some Viagra, bring me this, bring me that. Does that sound like a criminal organization that is 10 or 15 people flying over to Medellin, Colombia and picking up keys of stuff? No, it's his assistant saying, yo, just go get me a little thing so I can be happy tonight. You know what I'm saying? She also pointed out the assistants never thought the girls were being trafficked. Brendan Paul testified to that, which I thought was a huge mistake for the prosecution. Again, when Diddy's defense lawyers asked him, he said, you set up these freak-offs? Yeah, you cleaned up these freak-offs? Cool. You saw Jane in the beginning of the night? You saw her at the end of the night? Did it ever seem like she was unhappy? No. Did it ever seem like she was forced? No. Did you ever see any coercion? No. Now, I'm not saying that didn't happen before. All I'm saying is that Brendan Paul, who was an employee, he never saw it. So that shows that the organization is not committing crimes. Diddy is committing crimes. David James, what's up, brother? Bro, I'm just on a live. I just got to do my own thing, okay? I appreciate you. I appreciate you. We'll talk after, I promise. I promise. David James testified that Diddy did all of these things personally. If anything, Diddy tried to hide his freak-offs from the staff. You hear that all the time where it's like, don't come over right now. The butler's here, the maids are here, this person is here. Yo, come through this door. Come at 11 o'clock. I can't have Paul at my house because people are here. Rico would be everybody in the organization, or a majority of the people in the organization, conspiring together to help Diddy with the freak-offs. The defense made a great example, or Mr. Pirro made a great example, showing that it was not a criminal organization. One example was that he was trying to actually even hide some of the freak-offs from KK. When KK and the security guard found out about the Cassie Intercontinental Hotel, when Diddy put hands on her, the CNN video, the staff actually tried to help Cassie. They didn't try to help Diddy. Again, we're just talking about Rico here. Ms. Shapiro, under Rule 29, was trying to show this is not a Rico case. She showed and presented evidence over the past 6 weeks. That was actually what the prosecution put on, that shows that, yo, Diddy is putting hands. He's the big boss. He is the Tony Soprano of it all. So why are all of his people helping Cassie? KK helped Cassie protect from Diddy even after the Intercontinental Hotel. Cassie herself said that D-Rock was like family. Again, these are not good things towards Rico. No evidence that KK ever thought any of the girls were ever coerced. KK says, if you cannot be honest with me, I cannot work with you. That was one of KK's text messages to Diddy. You're talking about Diddy's right-hand man, right-hand woman, okay? A co-conspirator in a Rico case, and there's a text message that the prosecution put out there that says, yo, you need to tell me more, you need to be honest. But then you want to try to say that this is a Rico organization and his chief of staff, his right-hand woman, doesn't know things that are going on? Diddy was committing crimes? Yes. Diddy was an a-hole? Yes. Did he put hands on Cassie? He should have gone to jail for that? Yes. But I ask you, is this a Rico case when the prosecution, not the defense didn't even have to put a witness on the stand, when the prosecution's witnesses tell you and tell us and tell the jury that I didn't have nothing to do with it. I thought Diddy was an a-hole. I just got him personal DRUGs. I didn't know anything about these girls being forced, fraud, or coordinated. I thought it was just Diddy being a celebrity, being with a bunch of women. That is very, very hard to prove a Rico case when Mr. Piro is saying these things. I have two more things. She talked about the K word taking people, and also she talked about arson yesterday, and she said there is no evidence, no proof, no video of anything with arson, and she reminded everybody that even Kid Cudi said, and this was huge when he said this, he testified, after him and Diddy and Cassie and all of this stuff was over, he was at some restaurant with Diddy, and he was like, all right, push it under the rug, we don't need to talk about this anymore. But Kid Cudi said, yo, what about my car, Diddy? What about my Porsche? And Diddy said, I don't know what you're talking about. Kid Cudi himself testified that Diddy never admitted that Kid Cudi doesn't have any proof, he doesn't have any camera, he doesn't have any wiretap, he doesn't have no proof. It's his gut feeling. I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen, you cannot send somebody to jail for the rest of their lives under a RICO Act when somebody says, I don't know that he did it, I have no proof, but I think he might. And I'm not even saying if I think he did it or not. He probably did do it. The point is that this is a court right behind me. We're not on the street arguing. This is not a he said, she said. Court is not what you know, it's what you can prove. I'll repeat. Court is not what you know, it's what you can prove. Nobody cares what you know, bro. Nobody cares, Kid Cudi. They only need to hear what you can prove. I think that is it with the dropped charges. Whew, I can't wait to see what you guys say about the dropped charges. Now, I have three more things and then we'll get to the comment section. Somebody said time served, case closed. Somebody said word, free Diddy. That was a little bit of a mic drop, right? I think that was pretty good. Maybe not mic drop, I'm not done yet, but I thought it was a pretty good presentation of the drop charges, all right? Okay, so now I want to talk to you guys about closing arguments, okay? The three other things I'm going to talk to you guys about are closing arguments, insider information that I have on something, and Diddy's huge mistake. Then I will get to the comment section. Court doesn't start till 2. I do have a couple of people that I need to talk to inside, but I'll stay on for another at least maybe half an hour and really get into the comment section. And maybe my guy right over here might want to have a little two things. I'll give you a second if you just let me finish this, all right, brother? Okay, so let's talk about closing arguments, okay? Clothing, you cover good, homie, free good. Trent, you seriously need to get some admin moderators. Trolls are out in the audience. Don't worry about trolls, man. We love everybody around here, right? This is the Trent Out Loud show. Okay, closing arguments. From what I have heard, from what I have gathered, it's going to be Maureen Comey who is going to be doing the closing arguments. And from what I've heard, let me try to get a little bit of sun going on in here. Oh, last time I was in the sun, my phone overheated. From what I have gathered, Maureen Comey is going to be doing the closing arguments. Maureen Comey is a mastermind, okay? She did the closing arguments for Giselle Maxwell, AKA the Epstein case. She is going to paint a picture of Diddy being a racketeer and an SEX trafficker. The prosecution will literally take every single thing that they have presented to the jury and try to overwhelm them with all the evidence that they have presented, kind of making it feel like they have no option. Let me go into a little bit of detail about that. We have heard 6 weeks, almost 6 weeks of testimony. And although I did say that it was very repetitive and very boring, I still think that the prosecution did a great job at presenting their case. Is it beyond a reasonable doubt? That's up to you guys. But they did a great job. And the strategy is load them with information, Kid Cudi, this. Even if we take out some charges, they're feeling, and what they're hoping is that the jury is gonna feel so overwhelmed that they're like, yo, I'm not 100% sure about Kid Cudi. I'm not 100% sure that Diddy showed Cassie that video on the plane, or they might question some things, but it was so long and so much evidence that I'm gonna just find him guilty anyways. That is the strategy. In Jamaica, we have a saying that says, if it no gossa, it nearly gossa. What does that mean? I don't know if it went exactly that way. I don't know if everything is true, but the fact that there was so much, something must have happened. If it no gossa, it nearly gossa. So that's what Maureen Comey is going to try to depend on, and that is why they put on a 6-week case. Now it's up to you guys, and of course, really more importantly, up to the jury, if they feel like yo, you put on so much stuff, you drop charges like a day before we get the case. You should have streamlined it from the beginning and got a little bit more direct from the beginning. Sorry, this is not guilty. You gave us too much. That is what I heard the prosecution's strategy is going to be. Now, the defense, I don't have that much information. I'm going to try to find out more today. But from what I've found out so far, it's either going to be Tenny or Mark Garagos. Mark. I keep forgetting his last name. Mark. What? No, it's A. Somebody tell me in the chat. Anyways, whatever. Y'all know Mark, right? Mark. Sorry, Mark. I see him every day. I'm like, hey, Mark, what's up? Mark Alfrigano, whatever. Agnifilo. Thank you. Mark Agnifilo. So Tenny Garagos or Mark Agnifilo is going to do the closing. I think my gut tells me it's going to be Tenny. I think that this case has to do a lot with sex, trafficking, women, putting hands or whatever. I feel like the closing arguments will be presented better from a woman, especially the fact that it's going to be Maureen Comey doing their closing arguments. I would love for it to be Nicole. I think that would be fire. She is amazing. But Tenny is co-lead counsel, so we're going to assume. And by the way, just because I've heard that it was going to be Maureen, it doesn't mean that last minute there can't make a change. But from what I've heard so far, it is going to be Maureen doing the closing for the prosecution. Now, Diddy's closing arguments, his defense team, it's going to be pretty simple. They put up no witnesses, and they're going to literally just say the prosecution's case is weak. They're just going to try to reiterate that. Paint Diddy out to be not a good person, because they've never had. They're going to say, is he a great person? No. Does he have a lot of issues? Yes. Is he a DRUG addict? Yes. You cannot deny that. I said yesterday, me coming from a mental health space, regardless if Diddy is guilty or not guilty, Diddy needs major therapy. He needs a lot of help. Jane said she doesn't think he will ever get over the war in his head. To me, that's one of the standout lines. That tells you the damage and the darkness that Diddy has in his mind. I don't think the government, I don't think this defense team is going to try to avoid that. They're just going to try to prove, even though he is broken, and even though he is damaged, even though he is a bad person, and even though he may have committed some crimes, he is not a racketeer. He did not, there's no Rico charge, and he did not SEX traffic Cassie or Jane. That is what they're going to try to put on. Of course, they're going to highlight that they didn't even need to bring witnesses. That is closing arguments. Two more things, insider information and Diddy's huge mistake, and then I will get to your comments and my man's comments right here. Okay, so some insider information, exclusive. Word on the street is that there are some state attorneys right now with their antennas up thinking that if Diddy gets acquitted or if it's a mistrial, they will bring state charges against Diddy and the crimes that he committed with Jane. Jane testified to Diddy committing some crimes, and the crimes that he committed were in 2021 to 2024 in state charges, and the statute of limitation has not passed yet. If Diddy is found guilty and he's in jail for the rest of his life, there's no point to bringing state crimes. If he gets off, I have heard allegedly that some state attorneys are looking to bring some charges from Jane's testimony. We shall see. And of course, no, because they're not going to recharge him for Rico. They won't recharge him for SEX trafficking, but they'll recharge him for crimes that Jane has alleged that he did to her. Think about it. She said that he was putting hands on her in her house. Remember when he was breaking down all those 4 doors? That is a state crime, and that's DV. He could get charged for that if she has some proof. So double jeopardy, my man just asked me right here, double jeopardy is you cannot be charged for the same crime. So the feds can't recharge him for Rico again. They can't charge him for SEX trafficking, but they can charge him for other crimes in state, 1000%, okay? So that is my insider info. And of course, you know that the civil cases are still lurking around. If Diddy gets found not guilty, some of those civil cases will drop. If he gets found guilty, they can use these cases to keep on pushing their civil cases forward. So basically what I'm trying to say is, even if whatever happens in this courtroom, this week or next week to Diddy. Diddy is not done with court, ladies and gentlemen. I will continue to report of everything that's going on. There could be some state charges and definitely civil charges against Sean Diddy Combs. For the next year or two, Diddy will be in court. Now, I just want to close out, and I'm going to go to the comment section. Diddy's huge mistake. Yesterday, I told you guys, after Rule 29, it was the defense's turn to take the stand, and the judge, I can't remember what the actual technical word is, but you have to ask the defendant if they want to testify or not, and they have to go on record as saying, I do not want to testify. So the judge asked them, hey, how you doing? Diddy said, I'm good, Judge. Before we get started, I just want to let you know, I think you're doing a great job. I've been meaning to tell you that. And I was like, why would you do that, bro? Why would you take the opportunity to try to, placate to the judge? Just, hey, Judge, how you doing? The judge is like, oh, thank you, Mr. Combs, but I do have some questions for you. Do you want to take the stand? Did you talk to your lawyers? Did you get enough sleep? Have you taken any DRUGs? Can you please go on record? The judge is like refocusing him. Can you just go on record? This is not a talk. I'm not trying to be your friend. I want to know do you want to take the stand? And Diddy's like, okay, Your Honor. Yeah, no, yes, I have talked with my lawyers. I will not be taking a stand. I will not be testifying. I know that it's my right to testify, blah, 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 blah. Now, I came out yesterday and I was like, for some reason, I just don't feel good about it. I don't think it was smart for him to do. Anytime you're in front of a judge, anytime you're in a court setting, you don't give up anything. You literally walk up there and say, yes, Your Honor, no, Your Honor, and you keep your mouth shut. Here's the mistake. And I spoke with a couple of people about this and they agree with me. You know that Diddy's team has tried to ask for 2.5 mistrials. You know that they're gonna try, if he gets found guilty, to go to an appeal court and try to get an appeal or a mistrial. Now, what is one of the things are grounds for a mistrial? Hey, the judge didn't allow this. The judge was unfair. The judge was prejudicial to us. The judge is this. Let my client out of jail. The judge was this. The judge was that. They could also talk about the prosecution and other things, but the main thing in a mistrial is the judge wasn't fair. The judge made a mistake. That's the same thing Brian Steele did in the Young Thug case, right? Remember, there was 2 judges that got kicked off, and they got a 3rd judge, that woman judge, that they actually liked. My point of this is saying, can you imagine Diddy's defense team going in front of an appellate court, asking for a mistrial, complaining that the judge wasn't fair? All they're going to say is, well, your defendant thought he was pretty fair because the defendant said, you're doing a great job. Huge, huge mistake. Huge, huge mistake on Diddy's part. Anybody will use that against him. The prosecution will use that against them. Thank you very much for the super chat. Thank you, Bruce. Really appreciate that. Thank you for the super chat. Yeah, huge mistake. Diddy hasn't spoken in a year and a half. We did hear him one time since the Cassie case, which was on his Instagram live when he came out and had that horrible apology that he gave to Cassie. And this is why Diddy was not going to take the stand. Not only this is not a good idea for the defense not to take a stand, but Diddy is a personality. Diddy is an entertainer. Diddy has been sitting down in this chair waiting to speak, waiting to defend himself, waiting to be charismatic, waiting to talk to us and be like, yo, I'm innocent, yo, this is this. And that was just a small glimpse, Hello, Diddy. Hey, Your Honor, just want to know you're doing a good job. If the judge did not stop him, Diddy probably would have started testifying right there. Yo, by the way, Cassie's a liar. Yo, Jane is this, Like, Diddy would have went off. At the end of the day, Diddy's a billionaire. Diddy has made a life for himself, and he's made a career for himself being Diddy. Who am I to tell Diddy how to be? I just totally think that was a huge mistake. And like I said, I confirmed that with a bunch of lawyers, and they have said that that is a huge mistake because it's going to be very hard for the defense to say that the judge was prejudicial and unfair when on record your client said, yo, Judge, you've been doing a great job. Big mistake. I'm a man here saying like, oh, just because he said it doesn't mean the lawyers. It's still evidence. It's still proof that your client thinks the judge is doing a great job. Of course, they could say, yeah, well, that's my client's opinion. He's not a lawyer. He doesn't know the law. I think that I think the defense team, I think that the judge didn't do a good job. Anyways, that's it. Okay, yes, my brother's been patiently waiting to ask me a question, then I'll come to the comment section. What's your question, my man? So, It's not the charges that were dropped, it was the predicate acts under Rico that was dropped. So Rico is still there. There's 35 predicate acts under Rico. So the predicate acts that they're dropping is arson, is no longer on the table. The K word, taking somebody against their will, and the SCX and abating is taken out. So 3 things were taken out, but Rico is still there. Trafficking is still there, but not under Rico anymore. Because under Rico, the predicate acts, there's SCX trafficking. They've removed that, and they're just going under the SCX trafficking will be Cassie and Jane, but not under Rico anymore.
Okay, you seem to know a lot about what you're talking about. So
Yeah.
I'm going to just ask you this question.
Okay, and then I got to go to the chat. Go ahead.
Is he found guilty or not guilty? Do you think whatever he's found, he's going to do sometime? What would you say to that question?
So I just want to tell them your question. He's asking me if I think, come here. There you go. Talk to the people. What is your question? What's your question? Go ahead.
If Diddy's found guilty or if he's found not guilty,
Okay.
on the basis of time, do you think he's going to do some time?
Okay, so if he's found not guilty, then of course he's not going to do time.
Right.
But I think the SCX trafficking for selling themselves, the girls selling themselves, I think that's the Mann Act. I think personally he'll be found guilty for that, but he'll get time served. Because the maximum is 10 years, and I think the least is 2 years. But normally the Mann Act for 10 years is if he found, let's say, like 50 girls who he was trafficking.
Mm-hmm.
Because it was only 2 girls, I think he will be found guilty for that. That's trafficking across state lines. I think he will, but he'll get off on time served. Just like Young Thug. He got off on time served. He was found guilty on some smaller charges. So my thing is he'll get found guilty, but get off on time served. If he beats Rico and the force, fraud, and coercion.
Which it seems like he will, from if you're looking close. But
yeah.
You also said the state's going to come right after him.
I'm not saying they will. I said maybe. That's alleged. Don't try to get me in trouble.
No, that's been in the air.
Yeah,
You're not the only one I heard say that.
All right. All right, brother.
10 civil suits.
Yeah, exactly. Civil suits are just money, though. At this point, he doesn't care about money, right?
Yeah.
All right, brother. Appreciate you, man. Thank you. He's been waiting here just watching me for 45 minutes, man. I had a little audience. Appreciate you, brother. All right, bro. All right. Okay, here we go. Let's get to the comment section. First of all, woo! That was a good live, y'all. Bam, 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 bam. You know, y'all got to celebrate my wins sometimes, you know? Thought that was a little bit of mic drop. I thought that was pretty good. All right? All right, let's go to the comment section. All right, let me just start off here before I even scroll up. Young didn't is basically still in jail for the next 15 years. That's not true. He's not in jail. He's on probation. You clearly have never been to jail or know anybody that's gone to jail. But being on probation in California in a home is very far from being in jail, right? Young Thug is not in jail. Somebody said not guilty, just a triggered baller as usual. Appeal courts will not bring up what Diddy said to the judge. This boy is whatever. All right, Trey, that's your opinion. I didn't say the appeal courts will bring it up. But anyways, let's not even get into that. You're totally trolling. Overloading the jury could cause reasonable doubt. Like to win, they had to load up on so many facts, data, charts, videos to prove their case instead of focusing on key points of each count. 1000% totally agree with you. Too much doubt, too much. Agreed. Bro, it's 100% out, or it's 100 out. I don't know if you're talking about the degrees or what, I don't know. Please hit the like button for sure. Somebody said, I love your smile. Watching from Australia. Hear anything about Motion 29? Oh, thank you for reminding me about that. We will hear, I tried to actually get up on the 26th floor where the case is actually being held. From what I hear, they're not actually in the courtroom right now, but they are still, from what I hear, talking about Rule 29. And they're going back and forth. Now, just to make sure, Rule 29 doesn't mean every count is thrown out. Rule 29 could just be, all right, the judge is just gonna take off Rico, or they could just take off one of the SCX trafficking. It could be the whole thing, it could be 1, 2, or 3. I heard they are going back and forth about that right now. One person down here told me they think they're gonna throw out everything. And the fact that the prosecution dropped 3 predicate acts in their Rico case is the government trying to save their entire case. I do not believe that. I do not think the judge is going to throw it out. Yes, Mr. Shapiro made great points that I went over with you just 5 or 10 minutes ago. I do think it's enough to send to the jury. Is it beyond reasonable doubt? That's up for the jury to decide. But the prosecution definitely put on enough evidence and enough of their case to bring it to a jury, 1000%. I will let you guys know what happens with Rule 29 as soon as we get the information. Court starts at 2 o'clock today. Diddy will soon be pardoned by Trump, allegedly. Look, I don't think that we should even get to that part yet. I think we should work on this case. Well, first, work on Rule 29, then work on the closing arguments, then work on the verdict, see what he's charged with, and then we will talk about pardons, etc. I don't really think Trump will pardon him. That's just my guess. But even if he does, I do think that we'll try for grounds of for a mistrial, and I think there'll be things before pardon. That's just my thing. You're doing a great job, bro. Thank you very much. You can't convict somebody with this much doubt. Trent just gave $1 for some. Okay. England in the house. What up, England? I'm on probation and it's unsupervised. Exactly. Ain't no shame in your celebration game. None at all, man. None at all. Yo, if I don't celebrate me, who will? I wake up in the morning and give myself a round of applause for starting a day, okay? Yeah. If I don't love me, who's going to? Diddy will go free. Young Thug was at the BET Awards last week. Exactly. How are you talking about Young Thug is in jail? Are you crazy? Didn't he just bring? I saw something online that he brought Gunna out at a festival. I don't know if it was true. I think it was maybe like somebody talking some ish, but I'm not sure. Let me know in the comment section if that's true. Real Outlouders, give our man some legs. Appreciate all you do, Trent. Mad love from Charleston. Sorry, not Charleston. Charlestown, MA. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Young Thug literally can't rap about certain things, or he'll go back to jail. Yeah, and. Yes, and is he in jail? Yeah, he can't go back to Atlanta. He has to report in. He has this, he has that. He's not in jail, all right? Go spend one night in jail and let me know if you think Young Thug is still in jail. Y'all are crazy. No mistake at all. No mistake at all, you reaching boy. All right, no problem. Again, like I said, I talked with 3 different people about that and they thought that it was a mistake. Not saying at all that means that he has no grounds for a mistrial. It will just be used against them when they're talking. And if they say, hey, the judge was this, the judge was that, well, really, if the judge was so bad, why'd your boy get up and say, hey, Judge, I think you're doing a great job? Lauren said, Canada in the house. What up, Canada? Ava said, I believe the defense showed their hands too. So exactly. They, knowing that they're not going to win Rule 29, showing their hand too early, I don't know. Where people are out here saying, oh, yeah, ha, 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 the prosecution may have made a really smart move that you take a little L to take a bigger W. Sometimes you got to take a step back, look at your losses, and come back again. They may have showed their hand a little too early. Pictures show how he put hands on abused Cassidy's for years. She could have leave. I don't know exactly what you mean by that. Not Trent turning into Stevie Wonder. What do you mean by that? How was I like, or Stevie Wonder because I'm being blind? I'm not too sure what you mean by that. I don't know if you're talking about the dancing or I'm blinded by something. Yes, temperature, you're wearing a sweater. Yeah. Oh, that's what you guys saying that it's 100 degrees outside. First of all, I'm not wearing a sweater. It's short sleeve, okay? And yeah, I'm not gonna wear a little t-shirt into court. I still have to have, some sort of etiquette going into court. It's actually kind of light outside, but it is a short sleeve. Yeah, normally I'll wear like a button down or a jacket or a suit. But like I said, I thought today was a little light day. We're just gonna hear about the jury charges, the jury instructions. I didn't know I was going to be outside for an hour giving you guys the live and then probably after in the afternoon again. But y'all know me, I got my water, so I'm good. This is time to rehydrate myself. Woo! Thanks y'all for letting me take that little break. All right, we're back. I don't think he was trolling. It was a legitimate comment regarding what did he said. You gotta be able to take constructive criticism. Okay, I don't know exactly what you're talking about. Great comment. If you single, I'm gonna shoot my shot. Candy cakes. Yo, shoot your shots, man. Don't be afraid. Kende, Can they give him probation? For sure. If he gets found guilty on one of the lesser charges of SEX trafficking under the Mann Act, if he gets found for that, if he gets found guilty, let out on time served, 1,000% he'll be on probation. He'll get exactly what Young Thug is. Cool. Time served. You've been in jail for 10 months. Time served. He'll probably be on probation for 5 years. Trust me, Diddy will take probation to not be staying in MDC, okay? Trust. Young Thug didn't beat his case. He took a 15-year plea deal. You see, this is what I find funny about people, okay? For example, let's say Diddy gets found guilty on the Mann Act, okay? And or even let's say last minute they give him a plea deal. Or let's just pretend no plea deal. He gets found guilty. The jury finds him guilty on that. But the jury finds him not guilty on Rico and not guilty on SEX trafficking. They only find him guilty on that. Technically, yes, he is guilty. But if Diddy gets to walk and go home next week, that is a win for the defense, guys. You got to learn to read between the lines. The feds do that so that they can keep up their conviction rate. Everybody's like, when the feds come at you, you're gone. It's over. You cannot beat them. They put a small charge that they know that they can get, and then they put a big charge like Rico. So the headline will be, Diddy found guilty. Diddy found guilty. But then when you read between the lines, he was not found, we're just saying, if this happens, let's say he's not found guilty of Rico, he's not found guilty of SEX trafficking under forced fraud or coercion, and he's only found guilty of the Mann Act, and he gets 10 months, the federal government comes at you for a year, raids all your homes, takes all of your stuff, exposes you, do all of these things, spends millions of dollars and years, and they only keep you in jail for 10 years because for 10 months because you didn't get bail. That's not a win. Let me tell you something. That's not just a win. That is a monumental win for Diddy. Of course, he would just rather to be found not guilty on everything, but the chances of that happening are very, very slim. I'm telling you right now, if the prosecution gave Diddy a deal to plead guilty for the Mann Act and take the 2 years, Diddy will take that right now. It's 12/16. Diddy will take that at 12/17. I don't even have to ask. I'm telling you he would take that. I'm telling you he will take the probation and he would take the guilty charge instead of facing the rest of his life in jail. This is not even up for a conversation. That is a fact. Please, Cassie could leave if she really wanted to. Listen, I just actually had this conversation with somebody before. For those of you who might be new here, I'm a huge mental health advocate. I believe in therapy. I sit on Charlemagne's panel at the Mental Wealth Alliance. Shout out to Dr. Alfie Charlemagne and everything they do for mental health. I have a different understanding of something called trauma bonding and know and understand why not only women stay in bad relationships, but also some men, which is not really talked about, are staying in a relationship with somebody who put hands on you. And it's easy to say, oh yeah, why don't you just leave? You could leave. It's not that easy from a mental health standpoint. Google trauma bonding and you'll have some more understanding. I'm not saying this to be on Diddy's side or on Cassie's side, just I'm sure some of you out there may know somebody that is in a domestic situation where somebody's putting hands on them and they're not leaving. I think it's a little unfair to Cassie for you guys to say, she could have just left. It's not that easy when you're in some of these situations, okay? Just my 2 cents, Somebody said, grab the camera from, what? Grab the camera for a Lamar Jackson edit. Lamar Jackson edit. I don't get that joke. Money talks loud and clear. No matter what the charge is, this is insane. How could this be guilty? He's not the only one that should be behind bars for this. Sorry for all those affected by this. Yes, sorry to the victims. I don't think a defense is, a lot of other people do this. That's not a defense. This person does this person does this. The whole music industry does this. Again, this is a courtroom. Those arguments work on the street. It does not work in a courtroom. One of my colleagues, another YouTuber, said something to me, and I said it on my live that I thought was even eye-opening for me. And she said this: let's say that Cassie and or Jane, listen very carefully, Cassie and or Jane did 100 free calls with Diddy, And they were the ones that organized all of it, and they were the ones who asked for every single freak off. Let's just assume. Let's also assume that the 101th time Jane and or Cassie said, you know what, I know I did this 100 times, but I don't want to do this the 101th time. And Diddy forced, fraud, or coerced them on the 101th time. That is SEX trafficking under force, fraud, or coercion. All it takes is one time. It doesn't matter what you did 100 times before. It matters that one time. And an analogy is, imagine somebody defending themselves and saying, yo, I only tried to unalive somebody one time. It was only one time. Or I only unalived one person. Don't send me to jail for unaliving somebody. I only did it once. Is one time not enough for unaliving somebody? And is one time not enough for SEX trafficking under force, fraud, or coercion? That is what you have to ask yourself. Thank you. Much love from Australia. Free Diddy. What up, Australia? I really want to go to Australia one day. It's only his women, and they had it out like he was dealing with women all over the world, miserable people. Again, like I just said, you could R-word your wife, you could R-word your girlfriend, you could SCX traffic somebody. Every person has a right to make a decision over their body, and no is no. So you have to take that into consideration. I'm not saying that he's guilty, and I'm not saying he's not guilty. All I'm saying is one time is one time too many. Cassie cheated on her husband to be with Puff. Yeah, and? What does that mean? My flower, Monica, what does that mean? That means nothing. Again, we're in a court of law. On the street, sure, maybe she's a bad person. On the street, maybe Diddy's a horrible person. We know he is not the best person in the world. We're talking about a court system. We're talking about the judicial system. We're talking about the law. Kirsten Bailey said, out louders, we're loving your lives. Burr, 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 burr. Love that you guys are loving my lives. Y'all have been asking me for so long to go live, and it took the Diddy trial to make me go live. They showed Cassie's bruising in court and the emails sent to her mother. Yes, they did. Let that man go home to his family. They already humiliated his character. That's your choice. I respect your opinion. Cassie should have went to the police. Again, Google trauma bonding. Google women that are in these situations that are not going to the police. She's not the only one. There's a lot that goes into that. Somebody says, you look great, Trent. Thank you very much. What he did to these women is the same thing all men have done in relationships. That is crazy for someone to say. It doesn't make it right, y'all. Imagine this being your mom, your sister, your aunt, your grandmother. Think about the women in your family. I really don't think that is a great argument. Diddy is very powerful. He took a plea deal. Okay, well, not yet. Young Thug didn't get off. He took a plea deal, and his case was state versus federal, which is a huge difference. I think I've already explained that. He got off, all right? He got off on time served. He was facing life. He got off with time served. That is him getting off. I don't care if he was on probation for 30 years. He's getting off. The feds want you to believe he didn't get off. The state wants you to believe that he didn't get off. They want you to think he won. They want you to think he didn't win. When you look into it, trust me, Young Thug won. I see Brian Steele every day, okay? Trust me, that was a monumental win for Young Thug. Sim says, grown women need to take accountability. They knew exactly what they were getting themselves into. Your opinion, I respect that. Watching from Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. What up, Pennsylvania in the building? You are amazing. Love, hold on. The sun is getting to me a little bit here. Let me go here. Somebody said, I love that you don't take sides. Yeah, 100%. That's what my show is all about, man. I am not taking no sides. I'm literally just here to give you your information, give you my thoughts on some things, but I really do not take sides. He hasn't been convicted. How can Trump pardon him? What the F are you talking about? You must be talking about somebody else. I never said Trump would pardon him. I've actually even said that Trump wouldn't pardon him, but that's a whole other story for another day. And by the way, you could pardon somebody before they get convicted. Joe Biden just pardoned, Hunter Biden, and they didn't even start a case. You could pardon somebody on attempting of somebody pressing charges so you can get pardoned. Joe Biden just did it, okay? Somebody said, okay, you're talking to somebody else. Gotta love his life knowing everybody thinks he's got a Tootsie Roll. That's hilarious. Do y'all really think he got a Tootsie Roll? Do you ever think that maybe Diddy ratted out on others to get the charges dropped? Hey, I don't know. I think if he ratted out, there'd be a lot more dropped than just a couple of predicate acts in the Rico case. If they would have dropped the whole Rico case, I would have been like, what's really good? You know, what's really going on? But I don't know. I believe that anything is possible, though. And I believe if he's convicted, that could maybe be on the table. They would be wasting their time and tax money. They're going to give him a pass. Is there grounds for a mistrial with the removal of some charges? There is always grounds. Sorry, just going to wait for this ambulance to pass. Hold up. Jeez. Yo, this ambulance is trying to pass, and this truck driver is like joking around, bro. Jeez! They're trying to save lives, and this truck driver is trying to get his load to where it needs to be. Priorities, y'all. Okay, anything could be grounds for mistrial. Of course, this could be grounds for a mistrial. Anything could be grounds for a mistrial. Something that the jurors do, something that the prosecution does. You know, somebody spilled coffee somewhere, and somebody thought Diddy maybe spilled it. I'm being extra with the coffee. I've seen crazier grounds for mistrial, so yes. Trump has favors from a judge, so why not Diddy? That's hearsay. I'm acting like I'm in court. That's hearsay, Your Honor. How much time do you think Diddy will actually get? Yo, this is why I have been so hesitant to answer that question. Nobody could fairly answer that. Sorry. Whew. Just let me take a little, maybe it's that ambulance. I hear like a ringing in my ear, like an echo in my ear. Anyways, how much time do you think he'll actually get? I think anybody that answers that question is really just not giving themselves enough time, because look right away now. Before we even hear the jury instructions, 3 of the predicate acts under Rico has been dropped. Who knows what's going to happen in the next 2 days? You have no idea. The case could even get thrown out. You have no idea. I think it's way too early, and I think closing arguments summarizes everything that the prosecution have been saying for the past 6 weeks. When lawyers talk, they say it's like building a wall. They'll take each testimony, let you know why they were testifying. Don't forget, when they're playing some of the freak-off tapes, or when people are testifying, they can't talk to the jury at that point. They can't say, hey jury, Brendan Paul is testifying, and this is what this means, or this means. And even as experienced as I am in the courtroom, even there's some things that somebody's saying, I'm like, why are they saying this? What does this prove? You need to give the prosecution a chance to have their closing arguments, to let us know what everything that they presented was for, what it means, and why we should find them guilty. And then equally, we need to give the defense their time to explain to us their closing arguments and why they feel like they didn't need to put on a witness, why they feel like the prosecution did not convince us beyond a reasonable doubt, why this person's testimony is not credible, why this person may have been lying under immunity. We have the ingredients of the cake. I need the cake to be presented to me before I say if it's a good cake or a bad cake. We're close, but we're not there yet. That's my opinion. And another thing that I've been meaning to say this whole time, my ear is bothering me. I think it's a little bit better now. One thing I wanted to say to you guys, is it fair for us to judge this case, and we have not been privy to one of the biggest, if not the biggest pieces of evidence? Listen to this. I'm gonna write this down to make sure I say this again at the end of my live at the end of the day. Nobody but the jury has seen the freak-off tapes. Do you guys think there's something on the freak-off tapes that would change your mind? Seeing Cassie and seeing Jane, could that help the jury either vote not guilty, or equally could it help them vote guilty? Maybe on the freak-off tapes, you see Cassie being forced, fraud, or courted. Maybe you see Jane being forced, fraud, or courted. We will never know. You guys got to keep that in the back of your head. Arguably the most important piece of evidence we will not see. Even me being in the courtroom, me being privy to, looking and seeing the juries, the only people, even some of the lawyers that are there, the clerks, the only people that are able to see the freak-off tapes in the actual courtroom are the jury and the lawyer who is doing the cross-examination or the direct. Now, I told you that I saw by accident on the screen for around 30 or 40 seconds, one of Diddy's tech guys pull up, the video was on his screen and he wasn't blocking it properly. Somebody told me today, like, yo, I heard you say that on your live and I don't believe you. Trust me when I say it, I would not lie to you guys. I saw a little 30 seconds. I don't want to tell you what I saw. I don't think that would be fair, but it was a piece of a freak off that Diddy's team was playing for the jury. The government gets to play what they want to play of the freak off, and Diddy's team gets to play what they want to play. I think the jury should see the entire thing so you can get the full context. What I was able to accidentally see is a positive that the Diddy's defense team wanted the prosecutions to see. But I go back to my question of, is there something on the freak-off tapes that will maybe convict guilty Diddy, that could find Diddy guilty of that we will never be privy to see? Lazy, L-A-L-Y-Z, thank you very much for the super chat. Sorry I'm not pronouncing your name right. Somebody said facts, somebody said they just subscribed. How are you? Accountability, love your podcast. Okay, I gotta scroll down because this thing is going too quick. Hold on. Something Hughes, I don't know how to pronounce your name, sorry. Sidebar, my husband asked, what was used for your awesome beard? Butter, what, beard, butter? No, I just put cream and I take care of it. I wash it 2 times a day. Sorry if I'm not saying your name, but I don't want to say K-I-L-A just in case YouTube flags me, okay? But thank you very much for the super chat, and I hope your husband gets a nice beard. All right, let me keep going. Okay, I got to go to the end and scroll back up. Oh, there's another super chat I passed. BMC gave me a super chat. Thank you very, very much. Appreciate you. Gonna get some lunch with these super chats. Okay, I'm scrolling past a lot. Sorry, I just want to get down to the end. Why is a YouTube creator, I'm not going to say the name, lying on the case? Glad you are speaking facts and not some other stuff. So somebody tried to do this last live. I am not going to call out any content creators. There are 14 YouTubers and content creators in the court. We sit on one side, and legacy media, ABC, NBC, TMZ, all of them, they sit on the other side. There's 21 of them, there's 14 of us. That is my colleague. I respect every other YouTuber, I respect every other content creator. Everybody has a right to their own opinion. Everybody has a right to give their opinion on the case. I'm sure the content creator who you're talking about was giving their facts, and then also while they're giving their facts of what's happening, giving their opinion. For example, I think this is a huge misstep from the prosecution dropping 3 of the predicate acts. Another YouTuber that you watch, they might say, yo, the feds dropping this is a brilliant move. So smart of them. They're streamlining it. This is going to be a win for them. That is how you can hear 2 facts, but delivered in different ways. I am not right or wrong. This other person is not right or wrong. And I don't think it's fair to judge somebody based on their opinion. You could not like them or not agree with them. That's fine, and you can watch whatever you want to watch. But I don't think that you should be negative towards somebody else's opinion. That's just my opinion. All right, somebody said again. Okay, I'm not gonna read that. You guys are talking about other content creators. I don't think the freak okay tapes should be shown in court. Somebody says you don't think that the freak off should be shown in court. Just want to make sure you don't think it should be shown in court to us, or you don't think it should be shown to the jurors. It has to be shown to the jurors. That's their evidence. That is the best evidence. I've been saying this whole time that the prosecution needs direct evidence. Circumstantial evidence is one thing. Hearsay is another thing. Direct evidence is, yo, I have somebody on tape committing this crime. Then there's no question. right? So I think it 100% should be showed in court, and not pieces. I think the entire thing should be showed, not shown in court, but showed to the jury. Maybe you misunderstood me. I don't think it should be shown to the rest of the world, but definitely the jury should be shown it. I think people miss that I watch and love both. I think people miss that I watch and love both. Okay, I don't know what that means. Okay, thanks Trent for finally caught alive. You're doing a fantastic job. Thank you very much. Somebody says no hate will be tolerated in this chat. Yes, no hate on other YouTubers will be tolerated in this chat. These are my colleagues. These are people I sit down with every day. We talk. We have very, very healthy discussions. We agree to disagree. We agree to see things two separate ways. That is the beauty of YouTube. That's the beauty of CNN. You can watch Fox. You can watch CNN. You can watch another YouTuber, or you can watch me. There's enough content to go around. Without deliverance, he'll never stop what he's doing, because nobody is addressing the mental sickness. And well, I just addressed that, so maybe you didn't hear it. Somebody says that YouTuber is amazing. I totally agree. She's amazing. They know how to play the game, and that's the facts. I couldn't send any person away for life due to consenting adults having fun together. They actually were setting dates themselves. I agree with you. I agree with you on that part. But I don't know if you were here 10 minutes ago. If they consented and they did all of these things 100 times, and one time they said, no, I don't want to, and he forced, fraud, or coerced them into doing one is enough. If you unalived one person after not unaliving 100 people, but you unalived one person, should you go to jail? Or will your defense be like, yo, I could have unalived them 100 times. I was hanging out with them at work. Let's say you work with somebody. Yo, they annoyed me for the past, year. I'd never unalived them for a whole year. But this one time, I just got really annoyed and, I unalived them. Don't send me to jail. I only did it one time. Okay, you guys keep talking about this YouTuber, man. I'm not even gonna talk about it anymore. I'm just gonna skip. Somebody said I agree with Trent. My opinion is this about ethics. Trent Horn's Truth and Justice. Show us the tapes I want to see. Trust me, you don't want to see them. I caught a quick glimpse and I don't need to see that again. Is Diddy in a courthouse today? Yo, good question. Like I said, I went up there. There's nobody when I went up around 10:30, 11. Some people are saying that Diddy's not going to be in a courtroom. I don't believe that. It definitely is his choice. I think. Remember when Brendan Paul got his immunity deal? Diddy waived his right to be there. I'm pretty sure he's going to be there. You want the person who's being charged to be present during everything, so that they're not like grounds for mistrial of like, hey, this and this happened. I'm 90% sure that Diddy's going to be there. Once Diddy gets free, he's going to throw the biggest freak-off party of all times on OnlyFans. Yo, do you guys think Diddy will lose his ability to make money? Do you think that he'll lose his mystique? Like Donald Trump, he got, these charges or whatever. He became the president of the United States. I don't know if Diddy's going to become the president after this, but I don't think it's totally over for him. If he gets found not guilty, or even if he gets found guilty on a small charge and gets out on time served, I think Diddy will find a way. I don't know if it will be OnlyFans, but I think Diddy will definitely find a way to navigate through the industry and still be able to be profitable. What do you guys think? Direct evidence takes away from hearsay. It turns into basic fact to a point. Exactly. We can express our opinions. Free speech. Y'all don't like it. Scroll by. Totally agree. Everyone is entitled to their own opinion. Yep. Somebody says, show me the video. Is it better to have not guilty than the case being thrown out? This way you can't avoid double jeopardy. Good question. I think even if, no, hold on. If the case gets thrown out, or if a case gets a mistrial, they could definitely try it again. And the prosecution says, I've heard that they will try it again, even if there is a mistrial. But of course, it's better to be found not guilty, because yes, if you're found not guilty, they cannot try you again under double jeopardy. Good afternoon. What's going on with all the testimonies? So they testified under oath, and they are not going to consider it. By the way, I really don't care either way. I don't really understand that question. What's going on with the other testimonies? So they testified under oath, and they're not going to consider it. Oh, I think you're talking about the predicate acts that they're removing. Yeah, Exactly my point. Why I said that is a huge mistake by the prosecution. Yeah, take Kid Cudi's testimony and throw it out the window. Like, it's gone, done. Bad move. Again, other content creators might think it's a brilliant move, and I even said it might seem like a loss now, but maybe the defense showed their hand a little too early, and they're like, you know what, you have some points. Let me take these things off. You take a little step back, to run quicker another day. So let's see. Somebody says block the ones bringing up other content creators. I should, huh? I'm just not even gonna read it anymore, so just don't even pay them any mind, okay? Majority of them have no, okay, I'm not gonna say that. Cassie should be. Wanna say hi to everybody? Yeah, all right, there you go. Thank you. Don't mess with my girl. Everybody knows what's going on. This is a waste of time and tax money. What bothers me is that about the females and male workers came more than one time, so they first, what bothers me is that the female and male workers came more than one time, so the first of all they knew was going to be hidden from them, and beginning they return to come. Again, this whole returning thing, you could do a 1, 2, 3, 4, 4, da da da, but if Cassie or Jane says no, you gotta take that in consideration. Next person, Norma says, accountability for these women's, you say, somebody put hands on them and not even paid full for 24 hours on call. Not only that, they're holding music over their head. A very strong point. Thank you, the only one that has it right. Oh, somebody said something about Smiley's comment. Next person says, Trent, will you be ecstatic when this trial is over? Keep up the great work. I will not be ecstatic, actually. It's definitely tiring. Oh gosh, it's already 81 minutes. All right, I'm gonna do 9 more minutes and get off. Maybe try to get a little bit of lunch. I'm gonna do exactly 1 hour and a half, okay? So I will do 8 more minutes. I will not be ecstatic when this trial is over. I've gotten into a routine. I'm used to now waking up at 3:30 in the morning, be out here in the courtroom. Like I said, I'm having a fantastic time. I've met a lot of people. Shout out to TMZ, CNN, a lot of people in legacy media, a lot of amazing people at ABC, some friendships that I'll keep on developing, even when I'm not here. The content creators, everybody is really cool, man. So I will not be ecstatic when it's over. I'm actually gonna kind of miss it. And I hope to maybe do more things like this in the future. So stay tuned, all right? So freaky SEX is a crime now? No, freaky SEX is not a crime. But forcing somebody is. Are we speaking about facts? Just like, okay, hold on, I'm not gonna say that. Somebody said, tell them Trent out loud. Okay, I'm no longer reading anything about other content creators. Did Diddy charge the feds? Can Diddy charge the feds if he walks away? No, he can't charge them, but he could definitely sue the government. Diddy gets convicted of anything, they will still repo all his money. I got coconut oil. Okay, whatever. All right, guys, we got 7 more minutes. 7 more minutes. Okay, I'm gonna just scroll down because I can't get to all of this. I'm gonna scroll all the way down. Okay, get to your new comments because now I'm at the end and I'll start from here as they just roll by. I'm not American, but that dude in the glasses is clearly the Kool-Aid kid drinking. Thank you very much, I think. I don't think they were victims of SEX trafficking. Okay, totally, that's your own opinion. Could we get to a hung jury? Of course. Harvey Weinstein just had a hung jury in his retrial. That's definitely could happen. It won't happen right away. Yeah, that takes a couple of days, but are they cutting KC's, what is going? Are they cutting KC's testimony? Now, I don't know. The fact that those predicate acts have been removed, I don't know if they go into the transcripts and cut that out. I think they'll probably still leave it in there, but not leave it in the jury charges. But don't hold me to that, I'm not 100% sure. Good morning, little bro, stop swaying. Stop swaying? I know, I leave that back sometimes, I'm like, why am I swaying so much? Sorry, I'm gonna stop swaying. Do you set alarms off with your chains? No, I don't. Okay. Let's just keep going, but thank you for reminding me to stop swaying. Cassie could have figured out after not having the second in a couple of years. That's your own opinion. That's fine. Do you think prosecution will bring more charges if Diddy wins? That's always a possibility. You never know. It's talk shoe time. Trent Out Loud live. Talk shoot. I think maybe talk show time. Trent, do you think the tapes will ever leak? I was just talking about somebody with that today. I think at some point along the way, I feel like the tapes will leak. I think after things kind of like quiet down, like maybe in like a year or so, I feel like TMZ or some news station will get their hands on a Diddy freak-off tape. Do you think Diddy not having any witnesses is a good or a bad thing? Excellent question. Ooh, I'm getting hot out here. I actually think it's an amazing thing, to be honest with you. More importantly, I think it's a very brave thing. I don't know if it's going to be a mistake or not, but I think it is a fantastic thing. It shows that they are not worried. It shows they're not bothered. That's why Diddy was talking like that to the judge. Yo, what's up, Your Honor? You're doing great. You're doing amazing. Every day he seems like he's cool as a cucumber. That is showing to the jury, yo, we're not even taking this seriously, yo. I can put up 20 people on that stand. I don't need to. They started out by saying, we're gonna prove this, we're gonna do that, it's gonna be 3 weeks. Only need 2 weeks, it's only need 1 week. When you think about something. You know ever heard the expression, when two people are arguing, when two people are arguing from a distance, you can't tell who is the fool, or when two fools are arguing from a distance, you can't tell who is who, something like that. Now, I'm not calling the defense or prosecution fools, but I'm just saying, sometimes when somebody's like, yo, yeah, blah, 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 and the other person is like, you actually believe this? So much so that you're not even defending yourself? It's a theory. So I think it is a brave thing, but I also do think it is a good thing. Your podcast is the only one that I watch anymore because you are only reporting facts. You don't speculate on things, and keep doing a good job. Thank you so much, Audrey. Appreciate that. Linda Green, hey Trent, doing a great job. What's going on? What's going to happen to KK? Who knows? They did list her as a co-conspirator. We don't know what's going to happen. The brilliant thing that the prosecution did was get access to her phone and put text messages into evidence. So they got information from KK without having her go on the stand and give immunity. Because if they put her on the stand, all she'd have to do is plead the fifth. Then they would have to grant her immunity, meaning they wouldn't be able to charge her after. So smart move, brilliant move by the prosecutors. But who knows what will happen. I think they want to focus on Diddy first. If they lose the Rico Act against Diddy, I think it will be harder to prove whatever charges they have against KK. Maybe it could be some DRUGs or something minor, but we have to see. Diddy first, the head of the snake first. Why in the hell would you want to watch the tapes? I would rather watch something else. Totally agree with you. Nobody was forced. They even begged him back. All to your opinion, how you see it. I hear a lot of people saying these women were not forced, or they are to blame for everything. But how would you feel if this woman was your mother, sister, or daughter? 100% agree with you, 100%. And like I said, Google trauma bonding. You could be with somebody, be somebody, and be like, today I don't feel comfortable. I don't want to do this, and they're forced, fraud, or coerced. And even after that happens, you still see them going back. I'm telling you, there's somebody. I'm sorry, I don't mean to say I'm telling you. You're trying to tell me that you have never met a girl or a guy that's in a bad relationship. Something happens like one night and you're like, yo, you're going back to that dude? You're going back to that girl? And you're like, yo, it was horrible what he did, but he apologized and I love him. You guys are acting as if like this doesn't happen like in our daily lives. Like, come on now. I think it's because Diddy is rich and, yes, they may have been there for money, but, and again, I'm not saying if he's guilty or not, but I'm just saying like, take the money out of it. You have seen women or men go back in bad situations, okay? All right, I got 2 more minutes. Sorry that I'm skipping. I'm gonna go down to the end, see if I can find some fresh ones. If you talk your GD into giving up the drawings when okay, I have no idea what that means. People can also get back, listen, and I wanted to trade careers. Which charges were dropped? I said that in the beginning. Wow, you guys are putting mad questions, yo. What about the GUNs? He was never charged for GUNs, so that was just to paint a picture of him being a racketeer and organized crime. Hey Trent, do you think if Diddy gets out, he's gonna lay low or try to get back to saving his empire? Yo, this is the question that don't tune in again after court today. We'll talk more. I love talking with you guys. Yo, I think Diddy takes a week, 2 weeks, chills with his family, relaxes a little bit, and then you're about to see Diddy back out here, yo. This is Sean Diddy Combs. If Diddy is found not guilty, he is gonna go right back to the money. This is Sean Diddy Combs. He is a born hustler, Harlem, New York. You know, New York people are resilient. I've been living out here for almost the past month. I've lived here for 3 years before. Shout out to Queens. I live in Queens, Brooklyn. Sorry, Queens and Brooklyn. New York people are resilient, man. He might not even take 2 weeks off. He might just take a day and he'll be right back at it, right? All right, guys, that is my 90 minutes. I am done for the day. Thank you so much for kicking it with me. I love hanging with y'all. Thank you for the super chats. Thank you. Somebody said, yeah, you agree he is resilient, and they said /arrogant. Y'all are funny. Thank you. Yes, Tez, lunchtime for me. Gonna get a quick lunch, get some fresh water. Court starts at 2 p.m. I don't know how long they're going for. Court normally ends at around 4 or 5. We will see. I'll come back right here, give you a quick little update of what's going on, and talk more with you guys. How you doing, bro? And we'll follow up and talk more, all right? You guys have a great day. I'll see you this afternoon for another live. This is Trent Out Loud. Thank you so much for kicking it with me. Peace. Hey, Melva, you're still here? Melva said, have a great day. Trent, Andy, out louder. Peace.